Hello, and welcome to the Thyroid Warrior podcast. I'm Ebony, and I'm here as your wellness facilitator. I'm going to be sharing my experiences in managing Hashimoto's disease. I really hope that it'll help you on your personal journey. Keep in mind, however, this does not substitute for medical advice. It is only for your information and motivational purposes only. Now, let's get started. Hello, friends. Today, in this time, it just seems so uncertain, but at the same time, one of the things that I appreciate the most is you. And last week was 100 episodes, and I'm still in awe. Just so you know, all of my pricing in terms of the products that I have available, as well as my services, are currently quote unquote on sale, and they have a discount to celebrate that. So definitely make sure you type in 100 as it relates to services. And my thyroid guide as well as my meal plan already have price updates to reflect this. So you can go to joyfulebony.com/meal plan to pick up my meal planning guide, as well as joyfulebony.com/thyroid guide to grab my thyroid guide. And as always, you can head over to joyfulebony.com to check out all of my services that I currently have available, which leads me to my next major announcement that I'm so excited to share. It finally just hit me, but I am now a certified holistic nutritionist, and I am just over the moon and through the roof and all those things. But here's the reason why this matters so much to me. And I have, as you all know, have struggled with my nutrition. I've struggled with my autoimmune disease, and over the last, I would say, 2 or 3 years, I've really been buckling down and trying so hard to focus on the things that I can control, because so much of my condition is out of my control. But I focus on stress management. I focused on, okay, how do I clean up my diet? And even in more recent months, transitioning to more plant-based. Now, I will be honest, the transition to plant-based was twofold. One, it was to help me really and truly focus on my diet, because I knew that I was going to be getting LASIK. So I wanted to give my body as much support as I could through my nutritional choices. So I was loading up on my vitamin E and A and K and beta carotene and all those things through food, because I wanted to heal. I wanted to give my body as much oomph as I possibly could to get through things relatively unscathed, which I'm happy to say that it all worked. And even my doctors were like, 3 days post surgery and it looks like nothing ever happened. And they were like, what did you do? Because remember, when you have LASIK, just to not really gross you out, they remove a part of the layer of your eye, but they create a flap and then they put it back down. But because of the way my vision was, they actually removed an entire layer. So that means that it was going to take longer to heal. There could have been more complications and a host of other things. And I specifically remember being in the office reading over all of the things that could go wrong. And in my head, I was like, am I really about to do this to myself? Yep. So it really, I saw firsthand how powerful our nutritional choices can be. And even after that, just knowing that it was cold and flu season, and typically we often see around the winter months going into early spring issues with stomach bugs and allergies starting to come through. And I knew last year, I don't know what kind of pollen was outside, but it was ridiculous. And I was like, that can't be my life this year. So I really focused on just trying to boost my immune system and help with as much as I possibly could from an immune supportive perspective in terms of like the teas that I had and more foods and herbs and all that fun stuff. And also because I have Invisalign and I knew that I was going to be putting my hands in my mouth a lot. So proper hand washing was so important. And again, just making sure that I was doing what I needed to do in order to stay healthy. The point of saying all of that was to give you guys an overview of how diet or your nutritional choices really and truly can have a huge impact on your overall health. And I've seen that firsthand. I've seen that with other folks. And that is why I went even deeper and pushed even harder to obtain this additional certification and education. And I wanted to be able to be that one source for you guys so that you didn't have to go to 5 different people to get information. So again, everything that I do, I'm thinking about you as I do it. But I really just want to let you know that I'm here for you. I know it's a stressful time, but I really and truly want to shout out Cynthia right now because I love you. You guys, she helped me in one of my last assignments that I had put off for months in terms of just designing a meal plan and getting that together. And I remember she emailed me and she was like awesome. She had everything outlined and I was just so proud and so happy. And I can't thank you enough. And what's really cool about all of that is you were able to help me to put into practice everything that I had learned. And when I went to submit that actual assignment, my advisor was blown out the window because I guess not too many people actually submit the documentation and the information to their advisors about what they did with the client, and we had worked over time, and typically you really only just write up the assignment and that's it. But for me, I always want to explain the why, the how, and everything in between as to why I make certain decisions and why I think that these things will help. And she was just taken aback by the amount of detail. To give you context, my report ended up being 23 pages. Yeah. So it didn't need to be that long at all. But again, I put a lot of detail into what that was. And again, Cynthia, just thank you for trusting me. Thank you for just being a part of this journey with me. So here's where we're going. I say all that to say this is where we're going. So we are going to talk all about different stress management techniques over the next few weeks because I'm sure you guys have heard, but this time in particular, one of the biggest things about the coronavirus or COVID-19 is that people with autoimmune diseases like Hashimoto's disease or Graves or what have you, or even Addison's disease, what the CDC is saying and other health professionals are saying is it's your unless you have something like lupus or different types of arthritis or cancer, or you're undergoing some type of treatment, you're not exactly considered immune compromised, even though technically we are because of the autoimmune disease component, or if you quote unquote just have a thyroid disease. So one of the things that I have done is I spoke with a couple of docs at the hospital that I work with about this very thing, and I wanted to bring the information that I gathered to you all, and it is quote unquote true in that we're not at a higher risk per se of developing the coronavirus, but at the same time, what's really key and what's really important is making sure that you're doing things like making sure you're eating right, making sure you're getting sleep, making sure you're exercising, and trying to ensure that you're making good food choices so that you can keep your body strong. Do not, and I repeat, do not stop taking certain medications or skimping out on taking your thyroid medication, for example. Please, please, please make sure you're doing that. And also, from a medication perspective, I know that many states are on a stay in the house order. I can't think of the actual term that's been floating around at the moment, but you can go to the pharmacy to pick up your prescription. So just please make sure that you're doing that. And if you have folks in your family that are also a little nervous and a little scared, honestly, because this is a very scary time, just make sure that they have their medication and that you're doing everything that you possibly can just to keep good hand hygiene. Make sure you're not touching your face. And again, I can't stress enough how important it is to get rest. So we're going to be talking all about those things. And yes, you can go back and listen to different podcast episodes that I talked about stress and how to kick its butt and making good food choices and gut health and all those things. But I want to talk about how to make sure that you're taking care of yourself in this particular time, because many of you are working from home, many of you have kids, and you're now a homeschool parent or a homeschool mom, or you're used to your children going to daycare during the day and you're trying to figure out, like, okay, this is different. So I really want to be able to give you a resource and be able to help you walk through these things, especially if you have to get blood drawn during this time. I can tell you for sure, I refuse. I cannot. I told my doc, I sent them a message. I said, I am not getting any blood drawn during this time, not because I'm afraid to go to the lab, but because I know for me in particular, it's a very stressful time at work. And I know that my thyroid levels are not going to be what they typically are during this time. And I know the cortisol, or our stress hormone, is probably through the roof for many of us. And you will notice that your free T4, your TSH, or any of your other values, even your immune system markers for your thyroid condition, if you have an autoimmune component, they're going to be elevated during this time, because even if on the outside you're like, okay, I'm good, your body physiologically is processing things very differently. So I want you to keep that in mind as well. And once we start talking about ways to get through this time, then we're going to kick it up a notch and start talking about our health, particularly from a female perspective. And that is making sure that from this perspective, since we know that women are more likely to develop Hashimoto's disease and or other thyroid conditions, I want to talk you through what that looks like from a hormonal perspective, and what I've seen over time with my experience, as well as just reading different research papers and all those good things about hormone health. And especially if you're younger, and when I say younger, I mean like mid to late teens into your early 20s, I really do wish that my mom would have paid more attention when I was 16, 17. You know, a lot of our confrontation was in part due to the fact that she thought that I was just being a rebellious teenager, but I'm one of the most calm people you will ever meet. And I personally thought something was off, but trying to explain that to my mom when she was already stressed out and she had a lot of things that she was going through on her own was really difficult. And you may be experiencing that, your teens are a little bit more moody now more than ever, but what I will say is don't ignore that because it could be a signal of something else. So we're gonna go into all of those things, but I wanted to kind of give you an overview of where we're going and what to expect because it's very, very important to me to make sure you guys are good. So I'm keeping you at the forefront of everything that I do. So definitely thank you again for all of those things. I really wanted to share that great news with you guys and just make sure that you knew where we were going. And also to celebrate the fact that I am now a holistic nutritionist. I am offering free 30-minute nutrition sessions, and we're just going to talk for about half hour on basic nutrition needs. Naturally, if you have a lot more to go into, then I would recommend us working together one-on-one really to go through a lot of those things. But you can sign up for that at joyfulebony.com/nutrition. And I will absolutely love to talk to you guys. And just know that I'm thinking about you and we're going to get through this together. Take care. Okay, thyroid warriors, get out there and take things one step at a time. Remember, be great, reflect on your triumphs, and as always, be well. Take care.